Welcome back to the channel. I hope you enjoy. I begged my mother to take me to the fair. Now I wish I hadn't. By horror writer 1717. Aw, come on, Mom. I want to see the living tattoo, I wailed. No, I won't have a child of mine subjected to such filth. It's not filth, it's cool. Defacing yourself like some bathroom wall is just disgraceful and disgusting. Aw, Mom. No, and that's the last I'll hear of it. With that, she dragged me away from the entrance to the freak show. We spent the rest of the day playing games and riding rides. The smell of cotton candy and pizza filled the air. The bells, whistles, and screams of joy from children having the time of their lives. Any other kid would be overjoyed with all the things we did, but not me. I couldn't get the vision out of my head. The living tattoo. Wherever I went and whatever I did, the sign danced in front of my eyes. It taunted me like a carrot dangling just out of a donkey's reach. I begged and pleaded all day, but Mom would hear none of it. I dragged my feet and screamed like I was being killed whenever we went near the freaks' tents. She just dragged me silently, ignoring the stares of people passing by. Instead of remembering a wonderful day at the fair, we were both miserable as she drove us home. But the fair will be gone in 2 days, I wailed as we pulled into our driveway. All I wanted to see was the living tattoo. You're the worst mother ever. That's it, she said while opening the front door. I've had enough. Go straight to your room, and I don't want to see you again until your attitude improves. If it does, will we go to the fair tomorrow? She pulled at her hair and screamed as she stormed off to the kitchen and slammed the door. Is that a yes? The door didn't answer. I stomped up the stairs as loud as I could and kicked my bedroom door shut. Bitch! I threw myself on the bed and crossed my arms. I never get anything I want. I lay there refusing to move or even turn my light on. My TV, stereo, stack of video games all held no interest to me. All I could think about was the one thing I couldn't have. Through the window, I could see a glow on the horizon as night fell, and the lights from the fair lit the sky. Tomorrow's the last day. I'll have to wait a whole year. From somewhere inside my mind that never spoke, I heard, unless... Unless what? Unless you sneak out and go by yourself. Should I do that? She said she didn't want to see you again until your attitude changed. Will going to the fair change your attitude? Yes? Then there you go. You're just doing what Mommy wants you to do. A smile crept across my face as I slid out through my window. I snuck in through a hole in the fence and came face to face with the carny. What do you think you're doing, boy? He asked through his 3 visible teeth. Nothing, I said and started walking away. Wait a minute, I know you. My blood ran cold. Yeah, you're that brat what was whining at your mom today. I'm not a brat. Excuse me, Your Highness. I turned to leave. I can get you in to see him. I stopped. Who? The living tattoo. I froze in place and slowly turned. You can do that? Follow me. He led me down a path that ran behind the tents. It was a different world back here. Squalor was the norm. Ragged people were lying on long chairs if they were lucky. More often than not, they just lay on the ground. Tin cans with rotted food, empty bags of popcorn, and discarded tubes for cotton candy were strewn everywhere. Entire armies of ants crawled over everything and everybody. He led me up to a large, dark tent with a cigar store, Indian sitting outside of it, and then stopped. There's only one question I need to ask first. How much do you want to go inside? What do you mean? How desperate are you to see? What would you give to go inside this tent? Anything. He smiled his 3 crooked teeth. That's the right answer. He pulled back the flap and disappeared inside. I followed and was immediately overwhelmed by darkness. A musty smell hung heavy in the air. I thrust my hands out in front of me, feeling my way as I drowned in the pitch black. Just as suddenly as the light had left, it reappeared. Torches lit the way to the center of the room. My eyes towered the inside of the tent. Strange shadow creatures hovered at the edge of the light. The flames danced hungrily in their eyes. Panic washed over me and I turned to leave. "What's this?" the carney said, blocking my exit. "You ain't leaving without seeing him. Not after all the fuss you put up about it." "I'm not sure my mom would like me to be here alone." "No, of course not. She wouldn't. That's the whole point, isn't it? You wanted to show her who's boss." His crooked smile was tinged with something else I couldn't place. "Come on then, up you go." He gave me a little push towards the raised platform in the middle of the room where a large figure sat motionless, totally covered by a black cloak. The carney guided me around to the front where I could see him. The intricate pictures that covered every inch of his face were mesmerizing. A one-eyed pirate being impaled by a sword, a beautiful, scantily clad woman, a strange symbol I had never seen before. They all drew me closer. I found myself a hand's breadth away from him. His eyes were pitch black, yet did not reflect the light of the torches. "Well, there you go," the carney said. "You wanted to see him, and here he is." For the first time, his eyes blinked. I nearly jumped out of my skin. I lurched back, but the carney caught me and held me fast. "He's heard all about you, of course. You and that little show you put on today. He's wanted to meet you ever since." Why?" I stammered. He's never met someone so selfish, so unconcerned about anyone else. He wanted to know how you do it. "Do what?" "Ignore every feeling of right and wrong inside you. Ignore the woman who gave you life. Ignore the common sense that God gave even a rat, just so you could have your own way." I glanced back at the carney with contempt. When I looked again, the pirate wasn't staring at the woman anymore. He was staring at me. "They wanted to see you too." The living tattoo untied a knot at his neck and the cloak fell away. Nothing covered his body except for tattoos and a pair of briefs. Artistic masterpieces overflowed from one to the other. Textures so deep it seemed like no artist could possibly achieve. And they were all looking at me. Each mythological creature, human, alien, even the symbols seemed to somehow stare. My blood ran cold and I began to shiver. He stood, stepped forward, and wrapped his cloak around me. Suddenly the shivering stopped. I felt warm again. I felt exhilarated. He reached out and took my hand and then pulled me close and whispered with a voice that sounded like 1,000 together. "Release me." I tried to let go of his hand, but he still held me in an iron grip. My mouth refused to open. My mind was a whirlwind. I couldn't think. As we stood face to face, hands still clasped, one of his tattoos moved. A tiny horse and chariot, carrying a Roman soldier, galloped down to the edge of his finger and disappeared. My jaw dropped open, but no words came out. My mind reeled when the horse and chariot suddenly appeared on my hand. I watched in shock as they rode up my arm and disappeared beneath my sleeve. The floodgates opened and all the other tattoos followed suit. A sea of green flowed up my arm, disappearing under my clothes until there was no more room and they flooded onto my face. While I watched my body be invaded by living pictures, I didn't notice my counterpart still held my hand. He had shrunk several inches while I had grown. His eyes were no longer inky pools of soulless black. they were green, the same as mine. In fact, his face was the same one I saw in the mirror each morning. His skin was milky white, just like mine used to be. Not a mark or blemish remained. My doppelganger in the carny took my clothes and put them on him, then wrapped me in the cloak. It felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I was dragged down into the chair, unable to move. My new tattoos laughed and carried on as though the cloak had just struck 12 on December 31st. They mocked me and jeered me as Johnny walked back through the torches and out of the tent. Sleep eluded me that night. The figures on my skin moved all night. It was like a colony of ants constantly crawling over every inch of my body. I tried scratching once. The pirate I had scratched over reared back and stabbed me with his sword. Unbelievable pain shot through my face. The rest of the night I just did my best not to go insane from the itching, but I never scratched again. The next day held a fresh hell. Sleep was a luxury that had eluded me. My torment was to live the nightmare of each tattoo. I was held down by the weight of my inky damnation, unable to move or even speak. Unfortunately, I could still see the children who passed through wearing looks of shock and admiration. I could also feel the scorn of the mothers who hid their child's eyes and quickly moved on at the sight of me. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, in walked little Johnny with my mom holding his hand. She looked at me with the same scorn I had seen on the other mothers' faces. Honestly, I don't know why you wanted to see this so badly. You'll have nightmares for weeks. Don't worry, Mom. I think I'll sleep better than I have in a long time, he told her in my voice. She herded him away, repulsed by the sight of me. You just better not have any ideas of getting a tattoo of your own. He glanced back at me. I wouldn't dream of it. I bowed my head as he walked out with my mother, never to return. A tear formed in my black eyes when I noticed a new tattoo on my arm. It was a small boy with green eyes. The end. If you liked that video, then like the video. If you're going to bed soon, sweet dreams. And if you have a full day ahead of you, I hope it goes well. Thank you for taking your time to spend on watching one of my videos on my channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.